on Monday, we were already off to a bad start due to the aftermath of this crazy move from Friday. And as a rule, you don't really want to be trading between 2 points in price. It's just kind of sideways action. It's not pretty. So yeah, there was not really much here to be worked with on Monday. This move here would be semi-decent, but there's just not enough confluence and it doesn't fit my plan, so it's not something that I took. Tuesday was looking a bit more promising. Nice supply zone here, impulsive move down, break structure, and some clean liquidity right here, which I was hoping to get taken out before it dropped. Looking at something like this, where it creates this kind of double top and then takes it out before dropping, but it just dumped, which is unfortunate. And in general, we are still moving between these two major points, so it's still not looking too great, but we're getting there. Price seems to be coming back to somewhat normal. So on Wednesday, my phone decided to completely stop working. The screen was fucked, so I had to spend the middle part of that day taking it and getting it fixed. So I wasn't looking at the charts, and even if I was, I wouldn't have been able to trade. So I ended up missing this nice little sell here down into demand. And then by the time the demand was hit, it was already 3 o'clock, so I was done for the day. I usually finish around 2 or 3 depending on price action, and yeah, I just ended up missing both of those on that day, unfortunately. But it's nice to see price getting back on its feet and, you know, some reasonable looking price action coming to fruition. So for GU, I didn't really see a point in talking about Tuesday or Wednesday because there was just nothing here. And it's very similar to EU as well, so there's just no point in talking about it. But as we get into Wednesday and Thursday here, I can't remember what day this is. I think this is Thursday. Yeah. Ended up missing this trade. I just completely overlooked it, and I'm quite pissed off with myself, to be honest, that I just overlooked this trade. There was no imbalance, and I was just reading this as liquidity right here. And when it dumped like this from here, I was just fully expecting, like, we swept this high, so when it dumped like that, I was expecting to come into some sort of discount range or, you know, take out some liquidity, but it just reacted from this demand, which I completely did not expect. And yeah, I ended up missing that trade. And in a shocking turn of events, that trade actually went on to be a loser. I'm sure you would have taken some profit along the way, but it just got absolutely railed by CPI. And me, who entered on the 1 minute somewhere within here, trying to just basically get on board with the original buy up to its TP, got absolutely dogged by some random burst of volume that came out for some reason 25 minutes before news, which is very odd. And yeah, just ended up completely blasting my stop loss. It's rare in recent months that I get a trade that does this. It's been quite a while since I've been so utterly wrong and my stop loss blasted through on a trade. But there you go. I had time to get out of this trade as well. You see this little up push there above the entry. It actually missed me in the first place. Yeah, I kind of forced this trade. You know, I could break down why I lost this trade. I already did that in my journal, but yeah, there was a few red flags, being the main one here, how it dumped to the entry. I know that when I see it from experience, that it's a red flag, 100%. When I see it drop like this towards my entry, my limit, I know just to get the fuck out, delete the limit before it hits, because it'll get blasted through. But something made me leave it on, which is stupid. And that's just poor psychology right there. So after taking that loss, I decided that I need to get some more data on the 1 minute, and that I shouldn't be trading it live. But lo and behold, the most perfect setup you've ever seen forms on the 1 minute. If you look at the 5 or the 3, there's nothing here. But as soon as you go down to the 1, there is a beautiful, at least an A setup. Maybe not quite A star, but it's up there and it's definitely valid. And this is the kind of shit that you're gonna have to go through as a trader, where it's like you do one thing and it doesn't work over and over again, and then as soon as you decide to stop doing that thing, you see it's presenting itself to you. It's just frustrating, and it's a test on your psychology, but it's a test that you need to overcome, and it's valuable. The exact same thing happened on EU as well. The same setup on the 1 minute only. And yeah, it's so frustrating when the minute that you say, right, I'm gonna stop trading in 1 minute, or okay, I'm gonna drop out this pair because I need to focus on, you know, my main pair or whatever it is. And then immediately you start seeing all the setups on that other pair that you just said you're not gonna trade. Same thing with time frames, whatever it is that you drop out, like, it just make you feel like you're going crazy, but it's all part of the process, I suppose. Again, on Friday, we're just dealing with the aftermath from the news on Thursday, essentially, where we're just trading within that range. I said earlier in the week, you don't want to be really doing that. You want to trade between major structural points and combine that with low volume. It's basically just consolidating, and it just makes for poor trading conditions. GU looked a bit nicer. There was a semi-valid demand left from Thursday, but it's like a 30 pip stop loss, and it was a 2R, you know, if you hit it perfectly. It's just not something that fits my plan. 30 pip stop loss is too massive. So that being said, it was poor this week due to news, and we're still very early in the year. But now we've had the major news for this quarter, or to kick us off, come out. Next week should be getting back to more normal and should be looking sweeter.
So as always, to finish these weeks off, overview of the whole week, and we'll start with what went well. Firstly, I just want to make it clear, like, I'm not happy with my performance. Being brutally honest with myself, I think I could have done much better. It was a shit week all in all. But being honest with yourself is key, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're never going to be able to improve. You're never going to have the humility to see where you're going wrong, and that's how you learn from your mistakes, essentially. So brutal honesty is key, and I suppose I can jot that down as a positive of the week on the whole. There is some more literal positives as well. The main one being, yes, I took a loss, but I took it well. I'm used to the losses by now, and yes, I'm disappointed as always. It would have been amazing for the first actual trade of the year to be a winner, so it's disappointing, but I didn't get too heated. You know, it's lost to the ocean. There'll be many more trades to come, many more losers and many more winners, so at the end of the day, it means nothing. And I didn't try to force any trades. The one loss I mentioned, it wasn't the best, and it was slightly forced, but there was plenty of opportunity to force more trades, and you know, I sat on my hands when I needed to for the most part in poorer conditions, so that's definitely a positive there. As for what could have gone better, I've got down, I should have been more diligent and active within the markets, because I'm going to put up on screen now just a quick picture. I know it's not the clearest thing, but this was when I back tested and went through the week from start to finish to see what opportunities that I missed. I essentially missed a lot of RR in this past week. When I went through it live, you know, at the time, I didn't think I missed this much, and there was, I think, there must have been around maybe 10 trades, maybe a little bit less. And all in all, losses and winners, there was about 7 RR to be gained had I taken every single trade that was valid for my rules. So it just goes to show, like, there is opportunity, even when it's shit conditions, there is opportunity for you to win. And that's why it's good to go back through so you can see what you're missing, get into that mind frame of, you know, seeing the market from backtest perspective, which is very different to live market perspective. And naturally, it would have been better if I had have avoided the loss that I took, but what can you do? You know, these things happen. And finally, I could have taken the loss even better. I already said I took it pretty well, but there were a certain level of emotions that were there when I took the loss. They lasted hours, a matter of hours, but still, there's always room for improvement, and for me to be even more robotic and even less emotion towards losses would be even better. And finally, as the overall review, generally it was a bad week. I said earlier, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm annoyed with myself slightly that I didn't do as well as I think that I could have. But there's always positives to be taken away. Even on a bad week, you can always find something to be positive for and to be grateful about. There's always going to be stuff that you did do well. And it's just good to not beat yourself up too much. I think you should be hard on yourself and lenient with others, but you don't want to be just beating yourself up too much, because then you just subconsciously telling yourself, oh, I'm doing this wrong, I'm shit, blah blah blah. It's not good. Credit where it's due. Make sure you pick out what you're doing right as well as what you're doing wrong. Yeah, and it's very important not to let these kind of weeks go to your head, for the same reason that I just mentioned. You're gonna have bad weeks. It's part of the game, but you can't let it get to your head. You've got to remember there are many more weeks. The markets aren't going anywhere. There's going to be always more opportunity to trade. So yeah, don't let it get to your head and don't beat yourself up too much about it. I always say, if you're not winning, you're learning. So as long as you're taking the lessons away, you know what you did wrong, and then you're working on it, you're actually taking accountability for your mistakes and making sure that they don't happen again, then you're learning and you're on your way to winning. So yeah, even in a bad week, there's always value there. It's not a complete waste of a week, even if it's not as good as you'd liked it to be. So as always, thank you for watching. It was a bit of a longer weekly review this time. I'm not sure where all the time went, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next week.